The city of Parsons celebrating as company breaks ground on an underground nuclear reactor at Great Plains Industrial Park. The company Deep Fission is based in Berkeley, California.
Part of a national program working to get larger nuclear reactors online across the country. Cale Chapman was there and talked to the team working on the project about what they hope to accomplish.
This is a giant first step.
Parsons city officials and Deep Fission breaking ground on their site for a new nuclear reactor at the Great Plains Industrial Park.
Years ago, it used to be workforce, water. Now it's workforce, power, water, population. Power is rising up on that necessity to bring new manufacturing and new opportunities for job growth, not just Parsons, but in the entire region.
The reactor is one of 11 projects that are part of a federal pilot program to build larger nuclear reactors. What's unique about Parsons' reactor is that it will be built a mile underground with a mile-deep cased borehole filled with water, which Deep Fission says makes the project safer and faster to build.
You have the containment. You're surrounded by 1 billion tons of rock. You have the pressure because the water that's above you in the borehole is using the force of gravity to push down on your reactor. All that water is also your cooling system. And so the most expensive parts of nuclear power you basically get for free, which also means that you can build it dramatically faster.
Deep Fission says just one of their boreholes will be enough to power 10,000 homes. Their goal is to get the reactor open for commercial use as soon as they complete the pilot program.
So we're looking at having pilot complete in 2026, but my real goal is to begin producing commercial electricity. That's where we want to be. I hope that we're going to be able to have a commercial reactor up and running in 2027 or 2028.
In Parsons, Cale Chapman, 12 News.